Welcome back YouTube, welcome to another video. In today's video, it's going to be a quick one. We're just basically, it's not an unboxing, but I'm just going to show you all the bits I've got from Nuke Performance, my surge tank, fuel filter, and basically just go over what my plan is of how I'm going to set it up in the car, what pump I'm running, all them kind of things, an overview, just showing you how to set this up. Now, it's not an unboxing video, I have already unboxed it and I have already set the pump up inside it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over everything I've done and what I learned. One of the biggest things, they're everything I've got here is top quality. The only downfall, like I say, is there's no instructions in it. Now, most of it is self-explanatory, but it would have been nice to at least have some like do's or don'ts, because it doesn't explain anything. So I've just built it up. So obviously bear in mind when you're watching this video, I'm telling you just as what I think it is and what I've worked it out to be. So without too much talking, let's get straight into showing you this tank. Basically, where I bought it from, you can get it in multiple different versions of what tank you want internally, or you can have an external pump, blah, blah, blah. I went for, this one fits the Walbro GST 450. But they also do another one that fits the Deutschwerks DW 400. That was originally what I was going for, but after thinking about it, it doesn't really make much sense depending on what your setup's going to be, and I'll explain why. Now, just one Walbro 450 should see me to well over 600, maybe even to 700. If I've done my calculations correctly, but you should be able to get up to about 700 just on one pump. And they're £99 delivered. Now the DW 400, they're about 220 for one. Now it does flow a little bit more, but only a little bit. Now this surge tank, this takes 2 fuel pumps. So you could basically get 2 Walbro 450s and have £20 change for the same price that you could get a DW 400. So it don't make much sense. 2 Walbro 450s would take you to well over 1,000 brake horsepower. So I feel like it only makes sense getting 2 DW 400s in this surge tank would cost a lot more. Like 2 Walbro 450s would cost me £200 delivered. I'd be probably looking at about 440, 450 for 2 DW 400s. Now, the difference is you'd have to be looking like over 1,500 horsepower or up towards that to get any benefits, because you can get over 1,000 brake horsepower with 2 450s. So after thinking about it, I thought, well, I can get 2 450s for the same price as a Walbro, but the same price as a DW 400. So it just didn't make sense to me. I have only put one pump in it in a minute, but one of the great things with getting this is it's so easy to just add another pump at any time without any extra hassle. So you get all your fittings. Some of it I've already put on. These bungs are usually on the top. So what I'll do is, let me just open it and show you rather than talking. Right, let's move the box out of the way. So this is the tank. It's a 3 litre tank and holds 2 pumps. So what I'm going to show on the top, so it only has 1 outlet. So 2 pumps can run through 1 outlet, which makes it so much easier. So you don't need a wire piece or any kind of connector or anything. So these 3, there's nothing on the other side. They just drop straight in. So from what I can see, it doesn't matter which ones you use these for. Obviously this is the outlet to the engine, but you'll have feed from the tank, return to the tank, return from the engine, feed to the engine. So yeah, out of these 3, I don't think it matters which one it is, because you'll see in a minute when I take the lid off, it's just a hole that goes straight through. So there's nothing special on the other side, so it don't matter. And then obviously this is where you've got your power feeds to your pumps. So you've got 2 positives to run each pump, and then you only need 1 negative. So you can basically run both pumps off the same earth. Just make sure you get the obviously adequate gauge cable to handle the earth of the 2 pumps. And obviously the same gauge with the power as well. You need to have a good gauge or whatever. So obviously for a start off, you get these fittings. Now you can go for different ones depending on what your setup wants to be, but what you get with it is you get an AN10 for the single outlet. One other thing I'll show you as well, these have O-rings on. I'm not going to put them on now just for the sake of the video, but yeah, basically you get an AN10 for there, and then these 3 are AN8. Like I said, you can just get different fittings. So if you're doing a different setup and you want your feed to be A&8 and your reserves to be A&6 or whatever you want to do, you can just go get different fittings. These are just the fittings that come with the tank. You know, one other thing as well, I don't know if anyone else can answer it because I'm not too sure. See, from my knowledge, your return from the engine generally is bigger than the feed, just to stop the back pressure, because obviously you only want the pressure from your fuel pressure regulator, and then after that you want a big enough feed. So that's one thing I kind of find weird with this, because it comes with the AN10 to the engine, but then all the returns and they're all AN8. So is it all right because it's a surge tank, or I don't know. See, my always thought was that your return has to be the same size or bigger. So you'd have like an AN10 return or an AN12 return. That's my general knowledge of it. But whether it makes a difference because it's a surge tank or something, I don't get it. I mean, I feel like Nuke Performance will know what they're doing. So I don't know. If anyone else knows why that is, if you could let me know. As for what size I'm going for, I don't know yet. I don't know whether I'm just going to use the fittings that come with it, or whether I'm going to get some different sizes. I haven't worked that out yet. But what are your guys' thoughts on it? Do you know why that is? If there's any reason, let me know. So what I'll do is, I'm just going to go over and I'll get a socket for these. We'll spin the lid off and I'll show you a quick inside it. Before I do take the lid off, I'll just show you quickly the top, just so you can see what it all looks like. It's all nice. Obviously your terminals and everything there. You've got these Allen key fittings. These are what holds the lid on, basically. I'll just show you the base and stuff as well. Like that's the bottom, and then obviously you can see here, that's your mounting points. One of the good things with me is I've put a false floor in my car, which I'm going to show you in a minute. So this is going to be super easy for me to mount to the floor. So yeah, let me go get a socket for the top. We'll spin the lid off and I'll show you inside. Right, so these are 5mm Allen key. Choose a quick core drive just to get these off. Right, it's a little bit awkward to pull off. You ideally want these AN fittings in. Pull up a little bit at a time, I do, just so you don't snag it. Right, so obviously you can see I've already set mine up. When you get it, this bar will just be separate in this bar. There's basically a thread. There's a thread on the end of this bar, a thread in the top. So you just screw it into the top, and then there's a flat here. I believe it's a 13mm spanner, just to nip it quick there. And then here, you've got a bolt. The bolt fixes this bracket. What you also get is, you can see here, see that black ring? That black ring's like a spacer. So my guess would be, if you're using the DW400 or a bigger pump, see, it only listed for the 450 or the DW400, but looking at it, I would guess that you can pretty much fit any pump that you'd want, as long as it's the right size. Obviously, if it's a smaller one, you use the spacer ring. If it's a bigger one, you wouldn't use the spacer ring. So yeah, your second pump would go in there if you're using it. Like I said, I'm not using the second pump for now. For the power I'm going through at first, it's not going to be that much, and then if I ever want more power at a later date, I've literally just got to slide it in there, wire it up to the top, and away I go again. So now I'll cover it over. So obviously this is a Walbro 450. It's got the sock on it. Again, I'm not sure where you're meant to clamp it. I've clamped it here because when I put it in, it's not hitting the bottom. From what I can feel, I can slide it in nicely. My logic behind it is this wants to be as low as possible. Obviously, this tank should stay full all the time. I've got an uprated Sci-Tech fuel pump in the tank, so the tank will feed this and fill it up. So when you basically put the ignition on, you hear it like purge the system, so it should fill this up, and then obviously next time I turn it off, this should stay full up anyway. So that will fill that up, and then this wants to sit as low as possible, because not only, I mean, when it's running, if this pump moves a bit more than the other one, it still should stay up near the top somewhere. But not only that, as the other fuel is coming back from here, as you see, this is where I was talking about the 3 L's are just the same. They're going to be kind of putting aerated fuel back in, and I feel like the air bubbles rise to the top. So I don't know if I'm right, but my logical thinking would say that the most aerated fuel would be towards the top, so the least aerated fuel would be at the bottom. So to me, it just makes sense for the fuel pump to be as low as possible. I kept measuring it and moving around. You can kind of see when you sit it there that it's like right near the bottom, but not actually hitting the bottom. So for me, that's ideal. It kind of tapers a little bit at the top, so I've kind of done it with like a mil or so after the taper just to make sure. I mean, it's strong. It can't go anywhere because it can't go, once it's in, it can't really go down other than sitting on the bottom. It can't really come up because of the hose. This is the hose that came with it, with the pump, sorry, not the surge tank. This hose actually came with the pump, and obviously this plug and everything comes with the pump. So you get your pump, the sock, and this plug and that wiring that comes with the pump, with your Walbro pump. You could shorten this and stuff. It was the right size for me. I pretty much pushed it up, got it as far as I can onto this fitting, as far as I can onto the pump, and then just clamped it right there, and it all just felt pretty much perfect for me. So I feel like that's right. There's no, obviously it does, this hose does turn a bit, but you can feel it. There's no kink in it. It won't cause any kind of flow problems or whatever. The only thing I did change is I always use our own Jubilee clips. These are vice grip ones. I just feel like no matter what you buy from wherever you get it from, no matter how good the quality is, they always give you dog shit Jubilee clips, and I hate them. I hate them wiry thin ones. So I use the vice grips ones that we have. They're much better. What I'll cover next is, as you can see here, what I'll do is I'll show you here as well as best I can. If you look in there, I don't know how well you can see, there's basically the two on this side then go into the one, and they kind of go smoothly into each other. So what you get is, let me show you here so you can see what I'm talking about. That's that spacer, by the way. Obviously you get a spare one for the other one. Right, so you get this fitting, which I'll show you in a sec, and you also get a crush washer. Right, so you get this fitting, which is just like a barb fitting. You get a crush washer to go with it, and then you get a blank. So this fit, that fit in there, where the hose is exactly the same as this, with that washer on that I just showed you. This washer, as you can see, you get one there. So it's got the crush washer, the fit in, that's the same as this one. And then you get a blank. This blank comes with an O-ring. So obviously I've got the blank in with the O-ring, so I'm not using that one. So I keep this to one side. At any other point, if I want to put another pump in, all I've got to do is Allen key in there, screw that off, put this new fitting on with the crush washer on, and then mount my other one in there, run the hose to it. That's it. Well, obviously you got to put the wiring on as well, which is what I'll cover now. So obviously this wiring's already mounted into the pump, and it comes with this plug on it. You also get this plug with the pump. You get these fittings are what you get in the kit here, the yellow ones. What I've done is they are crimp, but I've also, after they were crimped, I'm not going to take it off to show you, but on the end we put a blob of solder just to give it a little bit extra. So right, it's on this bit on the end where you can see, if you do it rightly, you should see a little bit of wire coming through at the end where the eyelet is. We just put some on there just to give it the best connection it can. But as you can see there, you've got the earth, which goes to the earth there. You've got that power there, which goes to that power there. This one is just plain, but if you was to add a pump, you would then you'd take this nut off and double stack the earth, and then obviously you'd put the other power to here. So then you'd run a power and earth. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then you just plug this together. I've kind of done it as best so it's out the way. See, the fuel comes back in here and stuff. So I've tried, because I'm using the one pump setup, I've purposely tried to keep everything over this side, so all the wire and everything's out the way. So as the fuel's coming in and one of them will be taken back out, everything's just out the way. But yeah, I think that's basically what it looks like inside. And then it's just nice that at any point, if I want to add another pump, I've literally just got to run the wires on here, run an extra wire to the top, and that's it. I haven't got to mess around with my AN fittings or anything. All these fittings and everything will stay exactly the same. All I've got to do is put another power cable on here, put them on here, and put the hose on, put that fitting that I've got on, and that's it. I've then got a dual pump set up. Which I'll probably do at a later date when I go for more power. Like I said, for now I'm probably only going to run about 600 odd because of the box. It's not going to handle that much power, so there's just no point going into the expense of buying a second pump just for the sake of it. I might as well just wait. It's probably going to be a good year or so before I go for more power where I'm going to need another pump. As far as I know, I mean, I might even just go to the dyno, get a dyno, and you might just say that your fuel's running out or whatever, and then I might have to come back and do another one. So, I mean, who knows? I'm just working off as best as my knowledge. I've tried to do as much research as I can, and I believe I believe it's going to be all right. But yeah, you get all these fittings. If you look at these little white bungs as well, they actually come standard. They go on here. Obviously, you didn't see that, but you usually get these little white cap bungs. They go on all of them when you get it brand new. But yeah, that's pretty much it. These just drop through. That's everything done, and then obviously you just drop it back in the tank. Just to line it up. Obviously, you want to put some like rubber grease or something on there. You just line it up and you just kind of push it back down and put the bolts back in. And that's it. That's the surge tank set up. So that's pretty much covered that. So I'll put that to one side. Now I'll show you what else I'm going to do. Obviously, but with mine being a Mark 5 R32, I had no return on the fuel rail. I was going to get a Mark 4 set up. I kind of went a bit over the top. I ended up just getting a CTS turbo one. So I'm going to have the fuel pressure regulator coming off the rail, coming back. But it means the way I'm going to set it up is on the Mark 5, the actual fuel pressure return was done through the fuel filter. So there was only actually one fuel line that ran up to the rail. So like on the Mark 4s and the older engines, 24 valves and stuff, or whether it's in an A3 or whatever it is, they had the fuel pressure regulator on the rail and then had a hose running back. Well, the Mark 5 was different, that you only have a fuel hose going to the rail, and the actual return was done at the back of the car on the fuel filter. So the fuel filter would actually return the pressure. Which makes it all complicated. So obviously all of that's getting ripped out. I've ripped all the pipe work out, so that's all gone. So I'm basically going to get a special fitting on the fuel pump in the tank with a AN8, which will come off and go to this tank, and then there'll be one coming off going back to the tank. That'll be that setup. So there won't actually be a fuel filter within that setup. It would have been nice to have one, but it's going to be too much of a pain in the arse, and the fuel filter is quite expensive. I mean, you have the sock on the one in the tank, and there'll be the sock on the one in that. But obviously, I am going to run a fuel filter. That's what I'm going to show you now. So there won't be no fuel filter there. So from the main tank into the surge tank, there won't be no fuel filter. It'll just be constantly free flowing between them using AN8 lines, so that'll then feed the surge tank. That's that full loop done. I will do a breather setup off because I've got the EVAPs completely gone, so I'm going to do some kind of carbon breather setup straight off the tank. And then after that, so then from the surge tank, it's then going to come off the AN10 or whatever I go for. I don't know whether I'm going to change the size or whatever. This is a 10 micron fuel filter. It's nice because it comes with the little brackets for mounting it. So that's what this is. It doesn't come with the fittings. I've got to get my own fittings, but this is the fuel filter I'm going to go for. So these are both going to get mounted in a boot. So I'm going to try and do a nice little setup. It's mainly for the fact that I am going to go on track with it, and the fact that it's just so easy to change the pumps and everything. But I am going to make up a nice setup out of it so it looks nice and everything. So it'll come off an AN10. I'm going to try and do it as nice as possible, but it'll come off like a 180, come down. I'm going to go into the fuel filter, and then we're going to go through the floor. I'll show you the setup of how I'm going to set it up in a minute, because it'll be easier to explain when it's in the car and you see what I'm working with. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this. It's a nice piece as well. I mean, it is £100. It's quite expensive just for a fuel filter. But the thing is, once you've bought it, when you can change you can take it apart and change the element inside. The element is only 30 quid, so it is expensive for 100 quid for a fuel filter to start with. But then it's not as expensive then when you change it, because it is only £30 for the internal part when you change it. And I mean, how often do you change it? Like once a year? I mean, I'm not a motorsports person or anything. Like once a year for a fuel filter, it'll be all right. Right, so here's in the back of the car. I'll give you a quick overview. Basically, this is like MDF. It's wood. I got lucky and actually someone was selling this on Facebook. Already made for this car. As you can see, it does fit pretty well. There's kind of a little gap kind of there. I'm not too sure if that's just because of my liner, because I can pull the liner out to reach. It's a bit cracked that this is black and the kind of inside is grey. I prefer the black anyway, so I'm probably going to try and find the interior pieces in black or maybe diamond. I don't really know yet, but I'll sort that at a later date. It's not completely staying open like this. What the plan is, Nuke Performance do a carbon fiber brace that basically goes across here, and then you get like a net. So I'm going to go with like a yellow net. It'll fix on these points there, and then it'll go onto the bar that goes across. So there'll be like a carbon fiber bar that will go across here, and then a yellow net. The only reason I've done that is because I will daily drive this car as well, so it would be nice to be able to put stuff in the back without sliding all the way through. But yeah, this is a cleaner look, but it does give me the added benefit. So I don't know if that's definitely how I'm going to mount it, but that is the kind of idea of what I'm going to go for. I don't know whether it's going to go that side or this side. I'm thinking this side just because it's got a little cutout, so maybe somewhere kind of where it is now, the wiring will probably come off there and go and tuck around there. These fittings will just like come off and go down and round. I don't know the lid, because you can turn this into 3 different places, because the bolt they're evenly spaced apart, so you can have the lid in whatever way you want as long as the bolt holes line up. And then have something like an AN10 with a 180 that will come off down around here and it'll go in. Obviously that'll be screwed down. This is the other good thing, is when I screw all of this down, I'm not having to screw it into the metal floor of the car or messing with the car. It'll just be screwed straight into this wood, which will give me a massive benefit. It'll just be so easy, and if I ever want to revert it back or whatever, I've not drilled into the floor, so it'll come off, go into there, and then my plan is it'll come off and go through the floor. Underneath this is like the foam for the spare wheel, and then obviously just there's quite a massive gap underneath, because obviously your normal OEM fuel pump that goes in the tank is basically underneath that. So it just means that I can basically make holes in this wood, and the wires and everything. It can all just go down through the wood and underneath, so you'll only see like a little bit coming off, or the hose is coming off down here, and then the foam and stuff that's underneath here, I can just cut channels out. So I can just cut a channel out wherever I want to go, and it'll go down right under, and then it'll go onto like the fuel pump. So everything, you'll just see the hoses come down, the wires come down, then they'll just disappear under the wood, so it'll be nice. And then when the bar's in and the net's on, and obviously got the sexy ass wingback seats as well, you can see there's a cup holder missing there. So I'm going to clean everything up. I haven't really done any like interior bits or much yet, but going to get all the seats looking all nice. Going to get the new, I mean, I don't need a cup holder because I'm going to use it, but I don't want that whole leave off, so obviously I'm going to get something for there. Ideally going to do the interior trims, and the interior I'm going to see if I can get like a black rather than this grey, but I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, that's basically where it's going to sit. So yeah, it'll just come from the tank up through here, feed and return from the tank there, return from the engine, feed to the engine. They'll basically go down underneath. I don't know where I'm going to go through yet. I'll probably go through kind of where the OEM pump is, where you've got that hatch. I'll probably just run it around the side of the tank. They'll run all the way down the engine. They'll come through where the OEM bit comes through to the fuel, and then yeah, have the fuel pressure regulator, and it'll come right back, and yeah, that'll pretty much be the setup done. But yeah, I just wanted to show you this Nuke Performance bit of kit. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. I took you through the Nuke Performance bits that I've got. Great bits of kit, they look really nice, hope they work as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's one of the big hurdles next. Obviously I'm working on the downpipe at the minute, which I said on the last video. As soon as the downpipe's done, we're going to work on this fuel setup. As soon as this fuel setup's done, we're ready to start. So the end is in sight, hopefully. I mean, there'll still be a lot to do even after I've run it for the first time, but yeah, we're getting there. The other thing I didn't cover on the other video as well, I've actually put some running oil in the engine as well, so that's ready. But yeah, we're getting there slowly. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.